That's my point. You know, you got to know why something's wrong. In the Christian life, we just keep saying, that's wrong, that's wrong, that's wrong. And God says certain things are wrong. And we're not understanding that if you keep putting water in the gas tank, it's going to tear up your engine. So when God says something is wrong, and it's wrong to do that, he's not doing that because he's trying to be pious. He's trying to say, if this is wrong and you do this thing and it's wrong, it's going to tear something up. And things are not going to work the way they work. To be carnally minded is death. Nobody wants that, right? All right, let's look at this. Carnal mindedness equals death. Now, when I say death, I'm talking about not only ultimate death, but when you have carnality, when you have a carnal mindset, it is going to equal discouragement, depression, loneliness, sickness, disease, lack. Every other problem that you can have comes as a result of carnality. Carnality produces death, and all of those things happen because we're separated from God, and that's what carnality means. It's a mindset that separates you from God, which ultimately brings you to the cycle of death. So all of the crazy stuff that can happen in our life, if you back up and check your mindset, I bet you it's carnal. Because carnality is the only way you can get there. Now, what does it mean? What does the word carnal literally mean? When you look at the word carnal, what does that word mean? Carnal means of the five senses. Carnal literally means of the five senses. Another way to define it is sensual. And in our worldly definitions, sensual is defined as being lewd or lacking morals. That's exactly where it leads you. So to be carnal means to be of the senses. I'm going to say this 2 or 3 times. Carnal mindedness doesn't necessarily mean sinful mindedness. Because all sin is carnal, but not all carnality is sin. All sin is carnal, but not all carnality is sin. What do you mean? Well, remember, carnal means of the five senses. What you hear, what you taste, those are your senses. So all sin is carnal, but all carnality isn't sin, because it also means what you hear, what you touch, what you taste, what you feel, what you smell. Does everybody understand that? So carnal mindedness means allowing your mind to be dominated by what you can see, touch, feel, taste, and smell. Carnal mindedness is allowing your mind to be dominated by what you can see, what you can taste, what you can hear, what you can smell, what you can feel. A carnal mind is a mind that's dominated by those five senses. You are carnally minded when your thoughts center primarily on the physical realm. You are carnal-minded when your mind is dominated by what you can see, think, hear. By that illustration, you know why. If your mind is dominated by the five senses, you are now in agreement with what your body believes. And if your mind is totally and primarily dominated by the things in the physical world, then you are in agreement with your body, with your senses, with the physical world, and you have cut yourself off from the resources that have been deposited on the inside of your reborn again spirit. So even in the natural, ladies and gentlemen, even in the natural, knowing this, all right, you got this connection in this physical realm. You've learned to believe it. You learned to trust in it because this is what you've done all your life. God gave you those senses to give you some awareness that when you touch something and it's hot, you know it's hot. But he never gave you the senses, and he never intended for your house or your body to lead the system. And when your mind is primarily dominated by that, you cannot reap resources. So somebody says, well, what about, I got born again. Yeah, you got born again. You got born again and you're going to heaven, but you will not be successful on this earth with a mind that's dominated and joined to that physical body with those senses. So if you're just interested in going to heaven while you live 50 years of hell, how many of you are interested in it? I'm not. I am interested in having some heaven on this earth while I'm in this body. I'm interested in having some little heaven on this earth. And it can work, but you got to know how to work the system. And you cannot have a mind that's dominated by the senses of the body and physical things, because you're more than body and soul. If you understand that, say amen. Now, have you noticed, somebody says, well, all right, how am I going to believe something I can't see? You're doing it already. Even in the natural, you're doing that. You believe there are radio waves. You can't see them.